big rope. She drops a rope. She hangs the rope down for him to climb up. He grabs the rope very tightly and he starts to climb up, and it starts to rain. What's up, guys? First of all, thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to another episode on the movie review on the Mirror. This is so great. I've been planning to make a review and recap of this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and make sure you don't want to miss this one. It is a great movie. You will enjoy it. So I think without further ado, let's dive into today's movie review. I'm your host, Sipra. He is out of pit, walking in the woods. Looks like a forest. He is screaming for help, finding directions in the rain, walking for sometimes in the wilderness. He sees a house in the woods. Lights are on. His curiosity rises. He reaches to the house. He sneaks through the broken glass window and notices some people are talking. The sound of the raindrops hitting the trees, leaves, and the woods can't let him understand what they're talking about. He checks his revolvers, make sure all the bullets are there, and then he sneaks to the entrance. He opens the main door and he enters inside. The voices are now clear. One lady is saying, "We should help him." Man replies, "No, until we know what's going on." She is talking about some kind of excess. That maybe he has an excess. The man talks, "There is a storm outside. We don't know what's going on." They are talking about him. One man says, "He could be dangerous. We know nothing about him." Female says, "Well, he has to eat. He will die if we don't get him out." As they are in this argument, lady is still trying to make a point. He has no food, no water. Man is keep opposing her. He is not one of us. Meanwhile, he walks in the room, he points the gun to everybody. The man who is opposing the girl, lady, having a rifle, and he points the barrel to the man, asking him to drop down the weapon. This man, as the man who is holding the rifle, he asks him, "Is this your house?" Man with the rifle asks him, the man, "Just enter the house. Who are you? He replies, he doesn't have any memory, he doesn't remember anything. All he remembers, he woke up in the pit full of the dead bodies, and pointing that lady helped him. Man with the rifle scolded the lady who helped him out. He says, are you stupid? You help him out? They all come to know none of them remember anything. All of them have lost their memories. All somehow survived whatever they faced before. 6 people, total 6 people, including the man who just came out of the pit. The only thing they know, they have the identity cards. They spread all the identity cards on the table, and then they name each one of them. Sharon, with the lady with the blonde hair, Michael, who is with the Chinese lady, and then Matt Lucas, the man with the rifle, and Nathan, who just recently had a panic attack. And then he asked him, who are you? And he says that he doesn't remember anything. So eventually these four people, they were already there. They know by their identity cards, because they still can read. This man who just had a revolver, he just entered into the house. He says he doesn't have any identity card, so he doesn't know his name. So the lady who is busy writing something in Chinese, and then he asks, what are you writing? And then he asks the other person, do you remember this language, what she is writing? He says he doesn't know. The lady tells them, looks like she has the keys and she has a Nissan. Another man says he also has a key, but they have no cars. He has seen outside there was no cars. The woman who helped him out is writing something in Chinese. She is mute. The lady explains that this lady is mute, was already here half an hour ago when they woke up in this house. So this mute lady, she was already there. And looks like she knows about us. They all come to one point, know what exactly is happening. Man with a revolver suggested to check the house. So Lucas stands in front of the mirror and sees himself, and he has a mark on his arm, some right here. And the mute lady, she enters the room, and then she shows her arm. She also has same scar or mark or some kind of needles here. So she shows to Matt Lucas, and then he has this question in his head, and he starts to ask this mute lady, do you know what happened? Do you remember anything what happened? And she, because she is mute, she cannot reply, she cannot answer. Meanwhile, in one room, Jonah, this Jonah is the one who has a revolver. His name actually is Jonah. He's also checking the rooms, and while he's checking the room, another man who is Nathan, who was before, he was screaming, and he says he doesn't remember anything at all, who is with him in that room. And then he noticed a closet, and he sees one calendar on it, and then he discovers something on the calendar, and he says, where is the Chinese lady? I ask her. And then he get the Chinese lady back in the room, and he asks her, do you know what is this? Is that you have written on the calendar? She says yes. And he asks, what does it mean? She tries to explain with sign language. Meanwhile, someone calls them. Both men, they just go there, and then this Chinese lady wants to explain about the calendar, but they're already gone. This Chinese lady pays attention to the calendar that shows out of 2 weeks, only 1 day left to come to 18th of date. Means something is coming tomorrow. Today is 17th, second last day of something. The man who was calling, who was screaming upstairs, both men reach into their room. They all find ammunition in the house. They plan to grab these guns and look outside if they can find something important, but they come up on one agreement to rest now. It's too late in the night. The man who just came out of the pit, he gets shower and he gets his energy back. They would check in the morning. Sharon, the lady with the blonde hair gives this man some pills and some med, treat his arm wound. She is naturally soft with this man, looks like they know each other. So this man gets shower and pushes hard to recalls his memories, but everything eventually fails at this moment. Meanwhile, one man shouts, the mute lady has already ran out of the woods. They all get their guns and follow her. Three of them, Sharon, Lucas, and Jonah, get out of the house, follow her. While they are walking in the woods, they find some dead bodies tied up with the barbed wires and tied up with the trees. They have so many questions in their head. Who are these dead people and why they are tied up with the trees, and who did this? Meanwhile, in the house, two men, while further exploring and checking, they reach to the bookshelf. One of them says he can read Latin, and then he speaks French. He knows several languages. Not only this, he knows all about these books. An other man says, maybe this is your house. He is holding a rifle, and he says, well, my hands, my body knows everything, how to operate these weapons, but my brain is totally blank. The rest of the four, they are outside. The three outside, they're following the mute lady. They find one wood cabin. They enter to see this mute lady is feeding a woman who's badly affected and from some kind of virus. She's chained and being fed by this mute lady. Everybody is in panic to see this and have so many questions. Who did this and why she is chained? They come back. Man who knows many languages talks to Jonah, saying, I have strong feelings that maybe I know you in person. I know Sharon, the lady, but I have strong feelings that I know you more than Sharon. Maybe she is my girlfriend. And he pays attention to him and he says that I don't have time for this. The next morning, as planned, after their breakfast, and they decide to go out with the guns or weapons to check their surroundings. One of them, Michael, who looks like he knows everything about the weapons, he says that, okay, I'm going with you. And they said, no, you have to stay at home. He says, you need me. And they ask why we need you. And he throws one cup in the air and then he shoots, and that hits the cup and then breaks into many pieces. So this is why. So they ask him to stay at home with this mute lady. You need to protect her. So they go out, and then meanwhile they are searching outside. They find similar dead bodies tied up with the trees with barbed wire. And the one who is staying at the house with the mute lady, while this man is talking to this mute lady, they hear some cries out. Somebody's crying for help. This man, he asks the mute lady to get in the house, locks herself. Meanwhile, he gets out and then sees who is screaming for help. He gets up, follows the directions where the scream is coming from. He reaches to a spot where he sees a man tied up with a barbed wire in the open field, and he is so scared. He is pointing his gun to him, and he is also scared. At the same time, he wants to help this man who is tied up with the barbed wire in the open field. Meanwhile, group of four, one of them is keep throwing rocks everywhere, and one of the rock hits to a metal. They discover there are two cars covered with the bushes and the trees and the branches hiding. There are two cars. Sharon said, this is the one Sharon said earlier, she has a car keys, and the other said that he can't find these cars. So these cars are sitting here. These cars are working. On the other hand, the man who is following the screaming sound, he terrifies and gets close to this man and tries to help him. But as he helps him, he releases him from the barbed wire. This man grabs him from the neck, and then he and he ties him up, and then he uses his utmost force, and he kills him instantly. By he has a wooden spear, and then he gives him on the neck and kills him on the spot. The other group who finds the car, they find the mute lady is running to them, scared, asking to follow her. She takes them to the location where Michael is being killed by this man who was, tied up with a barbed wire. Jonah kills this man who is tied up with a barbed wire, knowing he is a crazy man. All of them leave, but Sharon and Jonah get on the car, search the area on bigger scale. They find like a mill, like a factory area. They reach there and then find some people are living there. A boy who is hiding, Jonah asks him to open the door to know more if he knows something. But little boy, he calls his name, asks him, "Leave us alone, Jonah, they are coming tomorrow." Meanwhile, back in the house, Matt Lucas having panic attack. Looks like he is infected, and Nathan is exploring outside, finds cabin in the woods. Looks like he is getting his memory back, and he finds a woman with a child and apologizes her and tells her he is so sorry about her daughter and this is not his fault. While woman panics and attacks on him, he closes the door in panic and gets out and finds some people like zombies are moving towards him. He holds a gun and points to them. On the other hand, Matt Lucas finds the basement in the house, and he gets into the basement and find medical gears, like there must have been kind of medical experiments or operations were being conducted. He finds handycam tape recorder or camcorder. He plays it and finds himself tied up with the belts and on the stretcher, screaming, while Jonah is videotaping him and explaining about some kind of experiment results, that he looks like he is doing experiments on Matt Lucas. On the other hand, unsuccessful finding more answers, Jonah and Sharon are in the car, where Jonah tells Sharon that he remembers something, and it looks like he has done something in past that he's not proud of. But he also knows her in some ways. As they are talking while driving, suddenly one tree falls on their way and stop the car. They get out and find some people. They are cutting the trees on a far distance, and he calls for help. But these people are infected, and with their axes run towards them. In panic, they run back towards the jeep, and the jeep can't start. Sharon is on the wheel, and then Jonah, he pushes back this jeep and he asks her to put on the gear. And these zombies, they are running very fast to them, and on one spot these old zombies, these infected people, they stop in sudden. He feels so strange why they all in sudden they are stopped. And Sharon, who is also trying to start the car, she also notices that they cannot move one step further. Finally, jeep is stuck there. Finally, Jonah, he looks up. There are two dead bodies are hanging from the tree, and then he realizes maybe these dead bodies is just like a scarecrow to these zombies or these infected people. They cannot cross this boundary. They get back on the jeep, and then they come back to the house. On the other hand, Matt Lucas, who discovered this basement and he discovered this video camcorder, is extremely on fire. He is angry when Jonah and Sharon come back on their jeep. He is so angry, takes a rifle and points to Jonah, and he say he killed all of us and he's a murderer. He asked Sharon to watch the tape, and he was right about him, that he cannot trust him and nobody should trust this man. She is sad, surprised, and then Jonah is watching her face, reading her face, and he asks her, "What is on the tape? What is on the tape? What you're watching?" He is confused. She is confused. Actually, Matt asks Jonah to move back to pit and forces him to jump into the pit. And having no choices, he jumps into the pit. By the fall, Jonah starts to remember everything. Meanwhile, back in the house, Matt Lucas has panic attack again and he attacks on the girls. They run to save their lives and knows Matt is infected. Mute lady runs to rescue Jonah again, drops a rope and gets him out of the pit and tries to tell him by drawing 1 and 8 on the ground, but he does not understand and he asks her to go back in the house. It's dangerous outside. On the way, Jonah walks towards the mill again to talk with the family who believes that they know him, but the family is already in the car. They are going somewhere, refuses to talk to Jonah. Meanwhile, a car comes from far distance and Jonah thinks that this is Sharon, and he, at this point, Jonah remembers a lot about himself and he waves to the car, and he remembers that he is a doctor. He's not doing experiments, he's not killing people, but instead rather he was helping and he was saving lives. He waves and calls Sharon's name upon the car, but car doesn't stop and hits his car. Matt is driving, he gets him out of the car and he tells him he remembers everything. Tells him that he was helping him. He was helping against the virus, but Matt refuses. While trying to help Matt attacks on Jonah and he saves himself by having no choice, hits him with a stone on the head. On the other hand, Nathan also remembers, like it was kind of a medical error. This is not his fault. He runs back to the house where Sharon is packing the stuff. Sharon picks up the gun and points out to Nathan, and Nathan, he points out the gun to Sharon. Both have the memories back. On the Jonah side, knowing Nathan is his brother and Sharon is his girlfriend, and it was a virus hit them, and already 18 on 18 the army is reaching to evacuate the area. They are here to kill everyone who is survived or who is surviving. Nathan goes outside. He realizes that army has come, and Nathan goes outside and he screams and yells for help, but the army gets close. They lose no any chances and then they shoot Nathan, and then Nathan is dead. Jonah sees his brother is being killed and he finds Sharon and carefully, untracked and unspotted, reaches to Sharon, tells her that he remembers everything. Sharon also tells him that she remembers everything. All in sudden, a crazy woman comes from behind and stabs Sharon from the back, and Jonah picks his gun and shoots this crazy woman, but Sharon already got stabbed, but she is alive. But they are still unspotted. He picks Sharon very carefully and moves towards the pit and tells Sharon that they are going to hide. He drops Sharon into the pit and he also jumps into the pit. Jonah gives her injection to prevent the infection, but later sadly she dies. Both are motionless. After killing everybody, army starts to fill that pit with the dead bodies, throwing them into the pit. Jonah is still alive, but Sharon, when she was alive, she was writing a note for Jonah telling him, "We were the doctors of verge of finding the cure for an awful place that has cast the world into darkness. Mute lady is the answer. Her blood is immune to the virus and she must be protected." Jonah, breathing very hard, cries for help and rescued by the mute lady again. Jonah is walking with the mute lady. On the background, Sharon's voice is on, telling, "You will find death and madness everywhere, but you will have to fight to finish what we started. We have no time, Jonah. There are still people who are waiting to be saved. I know your memory will come back, and when it does, remember, I love you." This is one of the greatest movies of all time. I have watched it and loved it. This movie is produced so decently in a mature manner, will leave you infotained. When I say infotained, is all true. It's happening in this world time to time, and these groups of people who have money, and eventually a lot of money on the end of the road brings power, and power brings control. They want to control the population, cut down to certain size of the population where they can think it's now easy to control, even knowing that sooner or later death will take them too, and they will be resurrected. This movie was produced back in 2013. As you know, the name of the movie is Open Grave, written by Eddie Borey and Chris Borey, directed by Gonzalo Lopez. Besides flawless direction, the script, all the cast was super amazing. Shalto Copley, who played Jonah, Thomas, who played Lucas, Josie Ho, who played the mute lady, Joseph Morgan, who played Nathan, who is also Jonah's brother, Erin Richard, who played Sharon, Max Worsley, who played Michael. From a personal point of view, if you watch the trailer gives everything out. I suggest watch it. Even you have seen my recap or review, you will enjoy the whole movie. It's a whole movie package. They are still so much different than the way I presented to you the story. The visuals of the movie speaks themselves. I hope you have enjoyed my today's movie review and recap. And if you are a fan of the dark, mysterious, and true crimes movie reviews, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have your own story and you want to send it to me, you can send it to me at my Instagram, which is uzad.chipra. And as always, please take care of yourself and your surroundings. I'm Gonzalo Lopez. Until next time, my coffee.